A massive storm rises from the ocean, but instead of rain, the sky starts dumping plastic, garbage, and decades of human waste onto the streets. It almost feels like the ocean has finally decided to return everything people threw into it. As this bizarre storm unfolds, Barbara is driving with her daughter when she witnesses the unbelievable scene. Panicked, she immediately calls her ex-husband, Barkley. The moment he answers, he tells them to turn around and get somewhere safe. Unfortunately, traffic comes to a complete standstill. Realizing they can't stay in the car, Barbara tells her daughter to run toward a nearby building. Just then, Barkley notices a massive ship's anchor falling straight toward his daughter. Without thinking twice, he sprints across the street and pulls her to safety only seconds before the anchor crashes down. Moments later, Barbara reaches them, and the family is finally reunited. No one has any idea how to stop what's happening. Government agencies are completely helpless as the sky keeps raining trash. Then comes an even crazier sight. Mixed in with all the debris is none other than the Titanic itself, somehow washing into New York more than a century after it sank. It's an over-the-top moment, but it perfectly shows how furious the ocean has become. To understand how all of this started, the story flashes back. A group of fishermen heads out to sea for what seems like an ordinary day. But when they pull up their fishing net, they discover something that was never supposed to exist. A strange humanoid sea creature trapped among the fish. Terrified, they shoot it and try to sell its body online for a fortune. Before anyone else can get involved, the military quietly confiscates the body and covers up the entire incident. Around the same time, Barkley, who specializes in environmental disaster response, is assigned to investigate a major offshore oil spill alongside the British military. Before leaving, he drops off his daughter with Barbara, says goodbye, and boards a military aircraft with Sergeant Hannah. The team arrives at a highly classified research facility where the mysterious creature's body is being examined. Scientists discover a pearl-like object embedded beneath its throat, identical to one recovered from another specimen years earlier. That single discovery changes everything because it proves this isn't an isolated creature. According to Colonel Pierce, ancient legends have described these beings for centuries. They're known as Homo aqua, an intelligent species that lived beneath Earth's oceans long before humans ever ruled the planet. If that's true, then humans may have never been the planet's first civilization after all. Hoping to establish peaceful contact, the military builds communication stations and begins transmitting signals into the ocean. That night, two soldiers, Morgan and Sarah, are assigned to guard the creature's body. Around 2:30 a.m., something feels off. Water suddenly starts bubbling through the ground beneath them. Before they can react, Sarah is dragged underground by an unseen force. Morgan reaches for her, but seconds later he's pulled under as well. He barely manages to radio for help before disappearing. When the rest of the soldiers rush to the scene, both guards are gone. Even stranger, the creature's body has vanished too. The ground has already hardened again, leaving almost no evidence behind. The only thing Pierce finds is Morgan's severed hand buried beneath the dirt. At that moment, Barkley realizes this mission is far more dangerous than anyone admitted. He asks Hannah what these creatures really are. She explains that their unit specializes in communicating with unknown species. But Homo aqua aren't aliens. They've lived beneath Earth's oceans for thousands of years, hidden from humanity. Now they've returned, and judging by everything that's happened so far, they believe it's finally time to reclaim the planet. Later that night, the military spots a lone Homo aqua walking out of the ocean. Instead of opening fire, General Pierce orders everyone to lower their weapons. Using a translation device, he carefully starts a conversation. The creature is furious. It explains that humans killed one of its own, while Pierce responds that his team also lost 2 soldiers. Neither side wants more bloodshed, so they agree to a temporary ceasefire. Even then, the sea being makes one thing very clear: they're tired of hiding in the shadows. From that moment on, Homo aqua reveals itself to the entire world, claiming they existed long before humans and have just as much right to Earth. Soon, representatives from both species gather in London for their first official summit. A specially built water bridge connects the land to the sea, allowing the visitors to enter safely. Along with several strange marine creatures, a woman named Salt steps forward as Homo aqua's spokesperson. After quickly learning human language, Salt explains why she came. She reveals that toxic oil pollution destroyed the area where her children were about to be born. Jonathan tries to apologize on behalf of humanity, but Salt ignores him completely. She insists on speaking only with Barkley because he's the only human who showed respect to the dead Homo aqua instead of treating the body like a trophy. Government officials are surprised by her choice, so they begin reviewing every detail of Barkley's past. Since Salt refuses to negotiate with anyone else, Kate decides to prepare Barkley as humanity's official ambassador. When Barkley arrives at the heavily guarded hotel, he finds Barbara and his daughter waiting for him. Barbara is shocked after learning he's now responsible for negotiating with an ancient civilization, while Kate quietly prepares for the possibility that peace talks could fail. During their first meeting, Salt asks for a simple glass of water from the River Thames. When it arrives, Barclay politely hands it to her. But Salt calmly says, "It's for you." The room falls silent. Instead of drinking it, Barclay starts reading the speech prepared by government officials. Salt interrupts him almost immediately, saying she doesn't want scripted promises. So Barclay tosses the speech aside and speaks honestly. He admits that humans polluted the oceans through greed and carelessness. He doesn't make excuses or shift the blame. He simply says humanity made terrible mistakes and now has to fix them. Personally, I think this is the first moment Salt realizes she's talking to someone who actually understands the problem instead of trying to win an argument. That night, Barclay notices his daughter can't sleep because she's worried about him. He offers to send her home the next morning, but she refuses. She wants to stay with her father no matter what happens. The following day, Barclay presents humanity's environmental recovery plan. According to scientists and world leaders, pollution could be reduced by 50% by the year 2065. Salt isn't impressed. She points out that her people are dying right now. Waiting another 40 years for only half the problem to be solved isn't a real solution from her perspective. She even explains that pollution has become so severe that many Homo aqua can barely see or hear underwater anymore. Honestly, it's hard to argue with her logic. Barclay apologizes again, but suggests both species work together instead of blaming each other. This idea finally catches Salt's attention. She agrees that if Homo aqua joins the effort, the oceans could recover much faster. But before anyone can celebrate, nature delivers its own warning. Without any explanation, violent storms erupt across the globe. Everything humans dumped into the oceans suddenly comes back. Plastic, garbage, and countless tons of waste begin falling from the sky, bringing the story back to the shocking scene where the movie first began. Even after the global disaster, Barclay refuses to give up on diplomacy. Deep down, humanity knows that starting a war against Homo aqua would probably end in disaster. Fortunately, Salt is still willing to negotiate. But this time, she comes with 3 non-negotiable conditions. First, humanity must completely stop polluting the oceans and drastically reduce its ships and industrial activity at sea. Second, strict boundaries must be created between land and ocean. Humans should stay on land, while the seas belong to Homo aqua. As expected, world leaders immediately reject the idea because it would completely reshape global trade and transportation. To calm the growing tension, Salt briefly changes into a human appearance before returning to her true form. Then she reveals her final condition. The next meeting won't happen on land. If humans truly want peace, Barclay must travel nearly 5 miles beneath the ocean and meet Homo aqua inside their own civilization. The proposal sounds almost impossible. At that depth, the water pressure should crush any normal submarine. Even the military admits they don't have technology capable of reaching that far safely. Still, Barclay volunteers. Accompanied by General Pierce and several specialists, he boards an experimental submersible. During the long descent, everyone tries to hide their fear by talking about what they'll do if they survive. Barclay especially encourages a nervous crew member named Ted, reminding him that panic won't help anyone now. Hours later, something unexpected happens. The submarine suddenly stops receiving signals from the surface before accelerating on its own. Then every light goes out. Certain they're about to die, the crew prepares for the worst. When the hatch finally opens, they're stunned. No water rushes inside. Carefully stepping outside, they discover an enormous underground cavern hidden beneath the ocean floor. The temperature is comfortable, the air is breathable, and the pressure feels completely normal. It's almost as if an entire world has been secretly existing beneath the sea all along. Salt appears and welcomes them, explaining that this environment was specially prepared so humans could survive the visit. She then escorts the delegation into a massive chamber where the leaders of Homo aqua are waiting to decide the future of both civilizations. At almost the same time, trouble begins back on the surface. Kate learns that several diplomats have been exchanging suspicious coded messages. Before she can investigate further, a sniper attacks her, but her boyfriend sacrifices himself to save her life. Meanwhile, inside the underwater meeting, Ted suddenly presents Salt with what appears to be a ceremonial gift. Barclay instantly realizes something is wrong. The globe-shaped gift is actually hiding a bomb. He lunges towards Salt, trying to push the device away, but it's too late. The explosion tears through the chamber, killing several Homo aqua leaders along with nearly everyone on Barclay's team. Only Barclay survives because Salt shields him from the blast. Almost immediately, fake news spreads across the world claiming Salt deliberately murdered the human delegation. The footage convinces millions that Homo aqua has declared war, even though the entire attack was secretly orchestrated to destroy any chance of peace. It almost feels like someone wanted conflict from the very beginning. As rescue helicopters recover Barclay, he desperately tells Kate that Homo aqua wasn't responsible. She believes him, but places Salt into military custody until the truth can be uncovered. While investigators search for the people behind the bombing, They discover the attacker was a terminal cancer patient who had been manipulated into carrying out the mission. Realizing Salt will soon become nothing more than a lab experiment, Barkley makes a bold decision. He steals the transport truck, crashes it into a nearby river, and frees her. Without hesitation, Salt dives into the water to save Barkley, proving once again that despite everything that's happened, she still trusts the one human who never stopped believing in peace. After Salt escapes, Homo Aqua calls another emergency meeting. This time, the representative is Tide, who is far less forgiving than Salt. Furious over the bombing, he demands to know how humans could be reckless enough to kill their own people just to start a war. When Kate apologizes, Tide asks where Salt is. After learning she escaped with Barkley's help, he brands her a traitor for saving a human instead of standing with her own kind. He gives humanity one final warning: find Salt, or the real war will begin. Meanwhile, Barkley and Salt hide inside an abandoned warehouse. For the first time, they get a chance to speak without soldiers or politicians watching. Salt asks why he risked everything to save her, and the answer becomes obvious when the two finally kiss. It feels less like a sudden romance, and more like two lonely people finding trust in the middle of chaos. Knowing neither side will accept them, they decide to leave the city. Barkley contacts Barbara, hoping she'll help them escape. Instead, she secretly informs the authorities, leading both armies straight to their location. Just as a firefight is about to begin, Kate receives proof that the video blaming Salt for the bombing was completely fake. She immediately orders her soldiers to stand down. But another general refuses to listen and prepares to attack anyway. Before either side can fire, Salt unleashes a powerful scream and disappears into the river. Soon afterward, Homo Aqua begins demonstrating just how powerful they really are. They lure thousands of dogs from coastal cities into the sea and later admit they ate them, arguing that humans eat fish every day without questioning it. It's an unsettling comparison, but the movie clearly wants viewers to think about how differently humans judge themselves. Scientists then discover something even worse. Homo Aqua has started melting Antarctica's glaciers. If they continue, sea levels could rise high enough to flood most of human civilization. Tide delivers humanity's final ultimatum. Humans have only 5 years to repair the planet. If they fail, Homo Aqua will wipe them out completely. While governments argue over what to do, Barkley is secretly drugged by scientists. During the night, they inject him with an unknown substance and steal his fingerprints, apparently preparing to frame him if necessary. After escaping, Barkley returns to the beach, hoping to find Salt. She finally appears at sunrise, but instead of running away with him, she urges him to negotiate one last agreement with Tide. Before leaving, she kisses him goodbye and disappears beneath the waves. Days later, millions of dead Homo Aqua begin washing on the coastlines around the world. Tests reveal that a mysterious disease is destroying only their gills while leaving every other sea creature untouched. Kate realizes this wasn't a natural outbreak. It was almost certainly a man-made biological weapon. Ironically, the species that accused humans of destroying nature is nearly wiped out by humanity's own technology. The distress signal soon arrives from deep beneath the ocean, and Barkley is invited back for one final meeting. When he sees Salt alive, he can barely hold back his emotions. Salt reveals that only about 10% of her people survived. Despite everything, Homo Aqua chooses peace instead of revenge because the survivors are simply too exhausted to continue fighting. Kate then offers them a remote section of the deepest ocean where they can rebuild their civilization far away from human pollution. As everyone leaves, the underwater facility suddenly begins collapsing. Massive cracks spread across the glass walls, sending people into a panic. Barkley accepts what he believes is his fate, but Hannah manages to pull him to safety at the last second. Soon after, Kate receives Barkley's medical results and discovers something unbelievable. His DNA has changed. The mysterious injection, and perhaps his repeated contact with Homo Aqua, has transformed his body into something entirely different. When Barkley reunites with Salt one last time, gills suddenly open along his neck, allowing him to breathe underwater. For the first time, he truly belongs in both worlds. Instead of returning to life on land, Barkley chooses to dive into the ocean with Salt, leaving humanity behind and beginning a completely new life beneath the sea. And that's how the movie comes to an end.